Hello, everyone. Darren Rawlings for Emerging Civil War. Hang on, I'm going to have to start that again. Welcome to the Emerging Civil War podcast. I'm Darren Rawlings, and joining me today is Bud Hall from Culpeper, Virginia. Welcome, Bud.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Now, Culpeper Battlefields State Park was dedicated on June the 8th, 2024, and it comprises of more than 2,200 acres of land preserved as the sites of the Civil War battles of Brandy Station, Cedar Mountain, Kelly's Ford, and Rappahannock Station. So, Bud, I mean, you've been involved with this project, or, well, I call it a project, but it's more than that, isn't it? Right back from the beginning. So take us right back to when this first started.
Well, uh, we can start actually in 1986 when Brian Pohanka, Ed Wenzel, and myself confronted a development threat at the Shantell Battlefield, Ox Hill Battlefield in Fairfax County, Virginia. We confronted a developer and a county board of supervisors that wanted very badly to develop this battlefield. And they had already, by the time we got involved, and this is a significant distinction when contrasted against Brandy Station, they had already approved by the time Brian, Ed, and I got involved as the Shantell Battlefield Association. The Board of Supervisors in Fairfax County had gone ahead and rezoned that battlefield. So we came in after the fact, and we were brushed aside like so many minions, the three of us, but yet we continued the fight. And as a result of that opposition to the development, we managed to carve out of the huge Chantilly battlefield and get approved by Fairfax County a 5-acre park, and that's all. That's all that's saved of the enormously significant Chantilly battlefield, the largest battle in Fairfax County, Virginia. Two Union generals, Phil Kearny and Isaac Stevens, were killed there. A significant battle. So we managed to save but 5 acres and a park and 2 markers where the Union generals were killed, near where they were killed. So as a result of that, the Association for the Preservation of Civil War Sites, as an outgrowth of the disaster at Chantilly, the Association for the Preservation of Civil War Sites was founded. And that was in 1987, 86, 87. There's the timeline. And we formed that group in Fredericksburg, Virginia. Gary Gallagher was the president, Bob Crick the vice president, and we had a number of other good fellows who served as historians on behalf of the APCWS. And because I was already in Culpeper County, already researching the Battle of Brandy Station, the board designated me as the Brandy Station point of contact to keep track of potential development at Brandy Station and throughout Culpeper County. So in 1988, okay, here's the chronology. 86, Chantilly. 87, APCWS was founded. In 1988, a developer arrives from California and wants to develop the entire Brandy Station battlefield. He does not have, at this point, the rezoning which he badly wanted. And keep in mind, at Chantilly, when we arrived on the scene after the fact, the zoning was already approved. So because, and this is incredibly significant in the scheme of things, because APCWS, a 501c3 chartered battlefield preservation organization, was founded in 87, when the developer arrives in 88 and wants to develop the battlefield, the board directs me. I inform the board that he is there and he wants to develop the battlefield, and the board directs me to meet with the developer from California. So I meet with him, and he attempts to impress us with his contacts and his money and this and that, and we were unimpressed. So we tried to work with him, and he contended 88, 89. We tried to work with him, and then the Culpeper County Board of Supervisors joined his team, as it were. They certainly did. They joined his team and approved, despite our fervent opposition, they approved the rezoning of the Brandy Station battlefield, the entire battlefield, mind you, not just a little piece of it, but the entire battlefield. They approved the rezoning from agricultural usage, land usage, to industrial usage. So we, APCWS, another significant event here, milestone, is we decided, the board, that we needed a group with skin in the game, that property owners on the Brandy Station battlefield, to actually be the point of the spear going forward in our contest and conflict with the California developer. So APCWS paid the incorporation money, the charter for the Brandy Station Foundation. We paid for that. Brandy Station Foundation was founded, and I was designated by the board of APCWS to be the point of contact between APCWS and the Brandy Station Foundation. So, long story short, Darren, the Brandy Station Foundation, supported by the Association for the Preservation of Civil War Sites, we filed suit against the developer and Culpeper County Board of Supervisors. We filed suit against them that they had not adhered to the principles, the covenants of their comprehensive plan, which called for the Brandy Station battlefield to be agricultural land used for farming. They, in one fell swoop, they rezoned all of that and made it industrial property. So we filed suit that they violated their own comprehensive plan. That suit was successful in its ultimate outcome, because that suit resulted in that developer filing bankruptcy, and he lost millions of dollars and went back to California. Not a dry eye in the house in Culpeper County, at least with us. The Board of Supervisors was outraged with us, and certain business people were outraged with us, but the developer went home. But before he did so, he 500 acres that he owned in the heart of the battlefield, John Buford's command position, by the way, during the morning phase of the battle, Buford's no, he sold it to a fellow from New York who wanted to come in and put in an automobile racetrack, a Formula One racetrack. 500 acres, heart of the battlefield, Buford's Knoll, he wanted to put in a Formula One racetrack. This fellow was James Laser, and his company was Benton Ventures. Well, the board directed me to meet with him. I met with him out on Buford's Knoll, and I sought his purposes specifically. And he said to me, Mr. Hall, you might not like it. But I'm going to build my racetrack here, and you can just go back home. And I said, the fellow that was in here before you lost millions, and went back to California. I'm going to warn you right now, we're not going to lose this fight. We're going to file suit against you in Culpeper County, just like we did him, and you'll lose everything just like he did. You better take my advice now and just go back to New York and leave us alone, leave our battlefield alone. Well, he went ahead with his plans. We filed suit against him, filed suit against Culpeper County, which of course supported the racetrack, and he declared bankruptcy and went home. So here we are, finally, with a battlefield that's protected but not yet saved. So the Association for the Preservation of Civil War Sites bought the heart of the battlefield, Buford's Knoll, 3.5 mil, and we were off to the races. And over the years, APCWS became, of course, the American Battlefield Trust, evolved into the American Battlefield Trust, and the American Battlefield Trust has bought plenty of other acreage, as you've just outlined at the beginning here, plenty of other acreage on the Brandy Station battlefield, Rappahannock Station battlefield, Kelly's Ford battlefield. The American Battlefield Trust has bought all of that on the heels of that early victory, wherein we chased with their tails between their legs 2 developers out of Culpeper County that weren't here to begin with, by the way. And so what are the lessons to be learned there? The lessons are: stay in the game, keep your army in the field, be relentless in your opposition, don't give up, make contacts with other like-minded agencies, develop good partnerships with other agencies, which the American Battlefield Trust has accomplished with the Piedmont Environmental Council, Friends of the Rappahannock, Friends of the Cedar Mountain Battlefield. So partnerships are at the heart of this. We have to collaborate as preservationists. We can't be out there on our own hook because there's power and strength in unity. And so at Brandy Station, we've succeeded because we never gave up. And the Board of Supervisors of Culpeper County has, to this day, never thanked us for saving that battlefield. The Board of Supervisors, to this day, if we proposed a preservation effort today, say if we wanted to buy up Mine Run, that's not a good example. Say Germanic Ford on the Culpeper side. If we wanted to buy that area, the Culpeper County Board of Supervisors would oppose it. That's just the way they are. They don't see things the way that we do. Mm-hmm. And it's unfortunate. Many of their constituents do see things the way we do. But I just want it noted that the Culpeper County Board of Supervisors has opposed every preservation initiative we've ever introduced and fought for in Culpeper County. And the battlefield is saved despite the efforts of the Culpeper County Board of Supervisors.
Yeah. Well, that was some great information there. Thanks for telling us about that. That's amazing that you guys managed to do that. And we'll get on to the dedication in a moment. But again, you brought, I think maybe they don't realize how important historically these places are. And of course you do, obviously, because, you spend all your time there, you studied the Civil War. But how important was the Battle of Brandy Station? Just give us a little bit of an overview of that battle and what was involved in that.
Well, it is strategically, if you look at it as the opening engagement, the opening phase of the Gettysburg campaign, the Army of Northern Virginia, upon the outcome of two decisive victories at Fredericksburg in December 1862, Chancellorsville May 1863, the status quo did not change a whole lot. The two armies were still at Fredericksburg and Falmouth, respectively, both sides of the Rappahannock River, the lower Rappahannock, and staring at each other. So Robert E. Lee decides to take the war to the north again after Antietam, of course, in 62. So he sends all of his cavalry from Orange County, Virginia, all of his cavalry south of the Rapidan River. He sends them into Culpeper County. And the cavalry is sent there for a reason. They're to help facilitate his plans to invade the North. So the cavalry division, rather, of the Army of Northern Virginia was in Culpeper County in May of 63. And now Robert E. Lee decides to withdraw in June of 1863 his army from Fredericksburg. He sends of course, the division of Dick Ewell, the Second Corps, to Culpeper County. They're followed by Longstreet's First Corps. He leaves A.P. Hill in place at Fredericksburg to keep an eye on the Federals and let them keep an eye on him. And so he now it was his intention on the morning of June 9th, 1863, Robert E. Lee's intention to march his army northward with the cavalry on the right flank of the infantry and artillery headed north towards the Blue Ridge Mountains and the Shenandoah Valley, the Potomac River, Maryland, Pennsylvania. So the cavalry was there on his right flank doing what they're supposed to do: screen, protect infantry, gather intelligence regarding the enemy's movements. The latter responsibility of the cavalry was utterly not realized because Confederates had no idea they were going to be attacked by the entire Federal Cavalry Corps on the morning of 9 June 1863 at Rappahannock Station. So the battle takes place. The Confederates are surprised. The Federals are surprised to find the Confederates where they did find them, right across the river, instead of at Culpeper County, where they expected to find them, in Culpeper Courthouse, 13 miles back from the river. So the all-day battle takes place. It's at the end of the day, it's a victory for the Confederates because they hold the battlefield, but it's a dark and Pyrrhic victory because they lost many officers, men, and horses. You recall Confederate troopers on their own horses. You lose a horse, you lose a trooper. And so it was a devastating battle from the standpoint of its effect on Confederate cavalry efficiency and utility. So when the Army leaves the next day on June 10th, when the infantry leaves, this is significant. When Dick Ewell's corps heads to the Blue Ridge Mountains, is the cavalry on his right flank screening him? Is the cavalry out front protecting his advance? No, they're not. They're hunkered down at Brandy Station, Virginia, licking their wounds, literally licking their wounds, burying their dead, burying the Federal dead on the battlefield. Stuart's orders after the battle were bury them where they fell, friend and foe alike. That's important. Brandy Station Battlefield is a battlefield, but it's also a cemetery. There's this belief that someone came in after the war and dug them all up and took them to cemeteries where they were interred respectfully. That happened in some cases, many cases, but many of those soldiers, blue and gray, troopers who fought and died at Brandy Station are still there today. I'm here to tell you that. I know it for a fact. So the Army of Northern Virginia goes to Gettysburg without its cavalry out front, without its cavalry on the flank. But then, of course, the next thing that happens are the series of cavalry battles where the Stuart's division interposes himself between Federal cavalry and the Army of Northern Virginia as it goes north. And the battles of Aldie, Middleburg, and Upperville take place June 17th, June 19th, June 21st, 1863. But the Battle of Brandy Station, in my view, affected the Gettysburg campaign in an incredibly negative way because the Confederate cavalry was not present as the eyes and ears of the Army of Northern Virginia as the Army went forward into Maryland and Pennsylvania, and Stuart didn't show up until the actual fighting was underway, as you know, at Gettysburg. So if Brandy Station does not occur, if Brandy Station, the battle does not occur, there's, in my opinion, and only in my opinion, Gettysburg, the battle would not have probably occurred there. It would have occurred someplace else. And the Confederate Army of Northern Virginia may well have been successful because they were well ahead of the Army of the Potomac moving to the north. So it had a true outcome on the Civil War, in my view, and in a devastating way for Confederate fortunes.
Yes, definitely. And I always hear the saying that was the day that the Union cavalry grew up in a way and became,
Yes.
and because credible, if you know what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So some great points there. Again, as you said, even though they technically lost the battle. But anyway, Bud, I really want to know what that day was like for you when all of that hard work had finally paid off and you had the dedication in June. And that must have been a real moment. I mean, again, you guys worked so hard to get to this point, didn't you, to have a state park. So what was that like for you?
You know, the governor of the state asked me the same question, Governor Youngkin. He chest pumped me, and with his fist, he says, "You must feel really good right now." And I said, "Yes, we all do." It was very emotional,
Wow, take your time, my friend.
but who were the winners? Who were the winners? The men who fought and died there finally got their due because we saved their battleground. Those of us who fought on their behalf after the fact, we won. But in reality, history won, preservation won. In reality, we all won. The American people won, and even an occasional Englishman won. So we're very pleased about it all and very gratified for the help and support we've received across this country and across the world. I can't tell you how many people, Darren, come to Brandy Station from the United Kingdom, come to Brandy Station from other countries, and they just show up, and they'll find they'll find us out there waiting for them, and we give them a tour of America's greatest cavalry battlefield.
Yeah.
It's it's a it's a complete and total victory for the American people.
100%. And again, it's such an iconic battle. It really is, you know. I mean, there are iconic battles throughout the Civil War, but it is like it's one of those standout ones. And again, I really, really thank everybody involved, including yourself over the years that have, you know, saved this so that we can walk in them, you know, like you said, these guys' footsteps or hoof steps, as you could say as well. But yeah, I appreciate that. So obviously, you know, obviously things are still ongoing, aren't they? So if people wanted to get involved in the state park, say for instance, volunteer or something like that, is that something people could do?
Absolutely. The best thing to do, frankly, is to join the American Battlefield Trust, which owns, to this day, owns most of the battlefield. The state does not. The state has taken over Fleetwood Hill. The state now owns and manages Fleetwood Hill and two adjacent parcels. The state right now only owns 200 acres of this entire battlefield. So they'll take the rest of the battlefield incrementally in time over the next 3, 4, 5 years. But right now, the state of Virginia controls, owns, manages Fleetwood Hill, the crown jewel of the entire battlefield. We're glad they have that. But that's 58 acres. That's all that is. Across the road is 10 acres. Another adjacent parcel is 100 acres. So that's all that the state owns right now. So the American Battlefield Trust owns the rest of it, owns all of the rest of it. The Cunningham Farm, Kelly's Ford, Rappahannock Station, Culpeper Side, Hansbro's Ridge, a gem of a place where the 3rd Division of the 2nd Corps camped for 5.5 months, winter of 1863, 1864. That is a gem. Their hut sites are still up there. Come over here, Darren, and I'll take you up there.
Yes,
We
please.
keep it the gate locked and it's private, but I'll take you up there
Wow.
if you come over. And so the American Battlefield Trust, the best thing they can do to respond to your question is to join the American Battlefield Trust, join the Brandy Station Foundation, join the Friends of Cedar Mountain Battlefield. There is a group called Friends of Culpeper Battlefields. Friends, it's an arm of the American Battlefield Trust. You can go on the website, American Battlefield Trust, look up Friends of Culpeper Battlefields, and ask. Their director is Chuck Loudner. Their director is Chuck. You can ask what you can do to involve yourself in the preservation effort at Brandy Station.
Awesome. And again, how accessible is the state park if people wanted to visit? Is a lot of it accessible?
It is 100% accessible. The Cunningham Farm, obviously Fleetwood Hill, 100% Kelly's Ford. A lot of that is accessible. There is Hansbro's Ridge is not because of the fragility of the hut sites that are still up there. We don't want people going up there unescorted. And then we have other properties, and this is an ongoing process, and I'm glad you asked the question about what people can do. We have other properties in mind. We don't own all the battlefield. We don't own any of the western side of the battlefield, the western sector, where Rooney Lee and John Buford fought all afternoon. We don't own any of that. So we have a lot yet to buy. And so that requires money, that requires willing sellers. And we're finding that more and more people are willing to sell to us that own battlefield land. So we're grateful that they see things our way.
Mm-hmm. So again, there's still work to do, but for you,
Plenty.
is it got to that point now where you go, I've achieved what I needed to achieve, or is there again still, is there still stuff to do from your aspect?
Are you asking me personally?
Yes. Yeah.
That's a good question. Um, you know,
Because you put a lot into
I'm
this, you know. That's
going to be 80 years old September the 6th.
wow.
So, how long does one hang on?
Mhm.
I don't know. But as long as I'm useful, I'll hang on.
Well, that means a lot for you answering that. Thank you, Bud. Well, I just want to say again, thank you
Thank
for
you.
your hard work. Honestly, and the emergency civil war universe, we'll see it the same way. And again, like you said, massive shout out to American Battlefield Trust. Again, they work so hard to save these places, but as well as the smaller organisations too. And Bud, all that is left to say, my friend, is thank you so much for coming and talking to us on Emerging Civil Wars podcast.
It's an honor. Thank you. Thank
It
you for
is
having me.
it's
I
a
look
real
forward to
honor
meeting
for
you,
my
Darren.
aspect. It really is. I really honestly, and all that is left to say is I'm Darren Rawlings for Emergency Civil War for Bud Hall. We'll see you online and on the battlefield. Cheers.